welcome at this special edition of Botcasters, the post-talk of the European Chatbot Summit with 2024 with Christoph Esslinger. Welcome, Christoph.
Very happy to be here, Doran.
Please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Christoph. I'm one of the founders and managing directors of Ideabay, Ideabay.AI, which until quite recently was still known maybe under the brand name of VOI agency. But we've done this rebranding because our company was actually always called Ideabay. We just put the brand name of Voice User Interface for some time across it. But I think the new name just captures better who we are. Basically, it's the creative hub in the age of AI. That's Ideabay.AI.
The creative hub, that's I like that. Creativity is always nice. Now, you're also one of the, I'm not sure if driving forces is the right word, but you're one of the people that supports, let me put it that way, supports the European Chatbot and Conversational AI Summit for the past couple of years, and also, of course, this year, and supports it a lot and pushes it, and you have a reason for that. And I think it's important to tell us the reason, and at the same time, what we experienced, because I was there as well, what we experienced this time and what made it so special.
Absolutely. So as you said, Doran, from the very first edition, we were amongst the main sponsors of this event. And this year I had the pleasure of also hosting the event, so leading through the main stage. And the reason why I did this and why my company has supported the summit from the very start is that in my eyes, the people and the variety of people that come together at this summit is unparalleled. And the depth of knowledge you get around AI is also unparalleled. So I think, this year was really an absolute highlight for me. The combination of world-class research, really selected but very good AI solution providers, and many interesting big enterprises that are driving AI forward within their companies. This combination makes for a great hub of knowledge exchange. And yeah, it's really cutting edge research. I think we had one professor, number 6 in the world in information systems. So the quality of conversations and knowledge that you can take away from the summit is just unparalleled.
And but that's one thing. But what I noticed is that the term sharing is caring. Mm-hmm. But I would say here it's the other way around. Caring is sharing. There's this sense of community. It's a new field we're all working in, and it's I would say specific type of people with some creativity in their brain, because you need that. Otherwise, you can't solve all these problems that you come across. But they care for each other. There is no. It's not like we're all competing. We are competing, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like we're competing. And people are sharing stuff, which in any other field, I've never seen that people, well, maybe in the scientific world, but would be sharing with each other. Also people who had operational solutions for stuff, you would normally wouldn't give away. And I haven't fully grasped that, why that is, but it's there. It's very special.
So, to be honest, on the one hand, I think this is a great feature about especially the conversational AI community that has always, in my eyes, also distinguished this community, that there is this very high willingness to share. However, for the specific participants of the summit, if you really look at them in their respective fields, like special fields within the AI space, they are really leaders to a degree that they just don't have to be afraid to share it, because they're so far ahead. They're so far ahead of competition that might be around that there would not even be a risk of sharing that. So this is in my eyes, for this specific summit, that's the second pillar. I think on the one hand, we have a community which anyway has this high propensity to share, but on the other hand, here we have so many world leaders. They don't have to worry about that, not at all.
I didn't think of that. That's actually a very good one. Now, having said that, and I know you have an opinion on this, we have all this knowledge and a lot of experienced people, a lot of good systems around, and yet we still see quite a few chatbots, voice bots, conversational AI interfaces out there that are, well, let me say, in a nice way, not up to par, not the standard we would like to see. Why is this? Why do you think that it's still out there? And you said something at the summit that I think touched everybody's hearts, where it's about, if it's about customer service, please have people there. It's not always in every situation that a chatbot or AI or whatever, doesn't matter, any automated system is the solution to serving that customer. Right? Sometimes really real, personal, authentic, empathetic communication is key to a proper solution and happy customers. Now, if you look at a lot of the chatbots out there, not all of them, as I said, are up to par. Why is that?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
So I think at the end of the first day of the summit, there was a really great talk by Grant Ronald from Oracle. And first of all, second part of the conversation, he had a really, really great use case from the medical area. But the first part of his conversation was basically short claims that were condensing his 10 plus years knowledge in this space. And these are fundamental truths which apply and which exactly go at the core of your question. He had one claim that said, conversational AI projects do not fail because of the technology. They fail because they are run like any other technology project.
Interesting.
And this is one thing that if you link it to what I said, namely that a conversational AI project, any project that creates something like a digital assistant, is a project which is deeply about user-centric experience, user-centric design, and that means that you need to ask, for example, these questions, which are about also hey, what are the tasks I want my digital assistant to fulfill, and what are the tasks that I want human beings to fulfill, even though I could create the perfect AI assistant for that case. So the example I gave on the summit was that I do recommend to all of our customers, if they're building a digital assistant, for example, on the phone lines, and someone calls you and says, I want to cancel my contract, it is a strategic decision to say no, even though I could build an AI assistant that can handle the cancellation, just in order to show the respect that is necessary at this point. You basically immediately escalate to a human being, and possibly even specially trained human beings that are then able to say and convincingly say, we're really sorry that you're leaving. Could you tell us why you're leaving? And is there anything we can do to convince you to stay with us, because we really value you as a customer? And what most companies overlook if they try to also automate things like that is that the value that is on the other side, so keeping or not keeping a customer at that point, is a massive business value. right? So I think I also quoted like part of a Forrester research which says it costs you 5 times more to win a new customer than to keep an existing one, right? And so what Grant meant by when he said like the problem is that these projects are run like any other technology project is that unfortunately over the last years the RFPs and so on, they were still directed to companies who are mainly specialized in, for example, like technical integration, and of course they will approach this. They will approach these projects like they're used to approach, for example, a project that does a migration from on-premise to cloud, right? But this is not a customer-facing solution that you have to build there, right? And the big problem is that when things do not work out, problems are being searched for in the technical sphere. So you're seeing a back-end problem in something which is actually not a back-end problem. It's just a problem of misunderstanding the user, misunderstanding the setup, or it's a data problem, but it's not a back-end problem. And if such a project is mainly run by someone who is very, very well versed in, for example, connecting new backends and things like that, this is going to create a problem.
That is really an interesting line of thought. I think if you're in a boardroom, this is something to chew on, because they already have a lot of problems. That's what I see with managing or having being aware of the fact that there are, in your company, you have projects according to the waterfall method and agile projects, where the idea is that we have control. In waterfall projects is they think they have control, but they don't. They always run late, are more expensive, and don't deliver. Well, not always, but a lot of times don't deliver what they should. And in agile, they're scared because they have no control, and it's sort of a black box, and we're not sure what we're going to get when. Mm-hmm. But we need to commit money and resources. So either way, it's difficult. But if you run such a project as an ICT project, yeah, I can imagine you get that kind of trouble. And that would also mean that you construct a team as an ICT team instead of a customer centric team.
Exactly,
because that would be the consequence.
Yeah, you would not foresee all the roles that are necessary in such a setup, right? If you do it like that, and there are now big enterprises which have clearly understood that point. So, for example, I was attending another summit a few weeks ago, which was the Cognigy Experience Summit. So, as you know, Cognigy is one of the leading conversational AI platforms, and the head of conversational AI of Allianz, she stood on stage and she said, a conversational AI project really only starts with a launch. And this is a very, very different view of saying like, well, like, give us an estimation until launch, and then we expect the thing to be finished, right? And a traditional technical integrator would exactly do that. They are used to these kind of RFPs, and they would estimate it like that. And possibly because that means they're also cheaper. They would win the RFP because they don't account for everything that comes after. But what she said is very true. The real thing only starts afterwards. Why? Because any AI is only as powerful as the data on which it is based, and a conversational AI has to be based on conversational data. So only the real user data that come after launch will actually fully inform you about what is going to happen. Of course, if you are skilled in this space, you will have the hypothesis that still get you somehow close to reality, but no one can anticipate that. There was another big enterprise on this summit, was Lufthansa, who said we had to fundamentally overturn many of our assumptions once we got the real user feedback, and this is what it's about, right? What I think is crucial, that, for example, a platform like Cognigy, they are, in my eyes, successful also because they are really honest about this. So another thing, and now we're talking about another summit, but this is just a very interesting point. I just want to make that point. I think it was the same actually in Edinburgh. There were providers which were just very transparent and honest about this. Basically, they're saying like, okay, of course, we're giving you a great solution, but if you want to run an AI project successfully, you need the following 10 to 15 roles. And they're listing all of these roles, and some of the most important roles have to do with user research, experience, design, right? And platforms that are transparent and honest about this, they are so successful because they, based on their platforms and with their partners, bots are being built that are actually on the other side of the spectrum and not on the side that you said before, that the bots that we all hate because they're really nothing like what I would call a digital assistant. They're some kind of a
digital annoyance.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's really interesting that you mention all this, because one of the things what I saw happening, I've been recording quite a few podcasts the past years, is that I was wondering, we tested a lot of chatbots during the podcast. I was wondering every time, how is it possible that if you have such a beautiful brand name, beautiful company with great products, great service, and you bring out a shitty chatbot like this, and it doesn't represent the brand, and so I did some research and I found out, okay, that sometimes they decided for a certain tech stack, which made it impossible for the crew who actually are good, because they approached it. Now I realize they approached it as a tech project, and it needed to fit into the blueprint of whatever we had. So I'm not going to call any brand names, but then so we chose this because it fitted in the blueprint we already had, forgetting what actually you needed in order to serve the customer the right way, and maybe you need to change a little bit. And but that sort of comes together with what you just said, and I never realized that it was the way you approach the project. One of the other things I see is that a lot of people think, okay, we work on it for a year and then we have the project and let's go. We have the monthly fee of the yearly license fee and that's it. I said, well, that's actually when it starts. You need to commit for several years in terms of budget on the one hand and people that are committed on the other hand in order to begin. And if you can't do that, don't begin, because you'll be very unsuccessful and it will be very expensive and everybody will be complaining. And this is when you interview people, that's what they said. Well, we had a commitment for a year and we got it to the point where we launched, but then the actual work starts. But we didn't get to do that because the tech stack, because we didn't have the budget, we didn't get the people, we had to do something else. And we thought once we're up there, that's it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems is also the following, and I also talked about this in Edinburgh, is that, of course, when we are building new products, right, of course, we have to go through a fast and efficient, build, measure, learn cycle, right? So I don't want to say anything against fast iteration. However, what Grant also said in his slide was like, a conversational AI project is not difficult. It's just much harder than you think, right? And again, what this says is a lot of people are jumping much too quickly, because platforms. There are platforms around which give a great, for example, low-code interface, and that's great. It's great that we have that. But it means sometimes that people are jumping much too quickly into just building something without a clear vision and plan. All right, and the analogy I used to basically highlight that was that if you're really about to build a house, and this is exactly, Doran, what you just said, if you are building a house, if your aim is to build a house, And you try to do that completely without an architect and any plan of like, where pipes are going to be and things are going to be, it's going to be chaos. Of course, you can start. You can take the first wooden panels. You can take your first hammer and your nails. You can start building something, but the only thing you will manage is to get a hut, and a hut cannot be built up to a house. So the thing that will happen is you will have to tear down the complete hut in order to build the house. And this is when these projects also fail, because like at that point already money has been invested. The hut is there; it's not even close to the house. So like usually expectations are raised to build a house. Then the hut is there. Then you have to basically say like, I have to tear down the hut, and I need to start completely fresh. And that's when these projects fail. So if your aim is to build a house, you need an architect to plan for the house, right? And a fully fledged digital assistant solution is a house. Let's be honest about that. It's a house, right? It's not a small hut, and this is really crucial that this is being understood, right? And then if this is being understood, then you will invest a little bit more upfront into a reasonable setup, into a reasonable documentation, into a reasonable planning, into a reasonable fast iterative process, into a monitoring and everything around that, right? And there's one thing I want to talk about maybe like in the next step, which is you have to know that you want to build a house. You have to know your vision. This is what our head of innovations talked about at this summit. If you don't know where you're going, it's fundamentally going to fail. But so invest a little bit more in the beginning, and it's going to cost you much less money in total.
I was going to say, when you just said that, I was going to say that if the strategic perspective is missing, like if it doesn't have the proper attention in the boardroom from a strategic perspective, what is it going to do for us? Not now, but in the long term, then you never get to that house, because you want to build a hut, you want to build a swimming pool, you want to build everything, but there's no focus. And I think if you put it strategically on the agenda in the boardroom, then it also gets the attention on one hand, and they understand it's a process that it needs time and nurturing and a proper team. And if you can't commit, then don't start, because it's going to be a disaster.
And this is actually also, like what we have realized, especially in the past year, that this is the main demand that we have fulfilled in the past year, is actually helping companies also on a strategic level find that direction and vision. That has been a major part of our work, which is also why we did the rebranding back to this original name Ideabay, right? Because the new brand slogan is, for example, transform with purpose. So we are with you. We're with you on that AI transformation, but you have to know where you're going. And as I said, this was what our head of innovations, Ray, gave a great masterclass in my eyes about, and he also gave a presentation on the second day about exactly that topic. Why is it so important to define that vision? And we had a lot of people coming up to us in Edinburgh, talking exactly about this little bit of a mismatch that you talked about, that basically the people that are on the ground and they're driving forward these projects, they already have somewhat good idea of where they're going, but they need to take basically the higher levels into that journey. And what we have realized is that a strategic visioning with people that drive these forward, and then actually quite high in the corporate ladder, it works really well, because there's often a fear that the people high up in the corporate ladder, they just wait for you to give them a full result, and they would not participate in such a visioning. But that's not at all true. We've done really many great strategic workshops in the past year with people on the level of head of customer service, often reporting directly to the board, for example, because the board level is really interested in the AI transformation right now, and these people high up in the corporate ladder, they have a huge interest in having a clearly presentable plan that they can then give to the board member that they report to and say, like, here, you talked to me and you said, like, I really want to know where you're going, for example, in customer service with Gen AI, with AI in general. And if these people can come with a clear, a clearly defined vision, and then also a roadmap that is distilled from this vision, then any operative project that is being approached is approached in a very, very different manner, because you know where you're going, you know which roadblocks might be in the way, and especially, and this is something that Ray has emphasized a lot, you know about all the stakeholders in the company that you have to bring into this boat from the very, very start, that you have to tell them, well, I see you, I see this is going to affect you, and I want your input, because we do want to do something for you, and with you, right? This is very different from, like, jumping into something. Then you realize at some point, oh, well, there's something I should talk to HR about. They have been not in the boat until then. What's going to be the result? Then you realize 3 months down the road, well, I have to talk to legal. Even longer, they have not been in the boat, right? What's going to be the result? So, like, you will hit one block after the other, instead of bringing these people in from the start and driving something that the whole map of stakeholders is united behind.
And, but let me add one more thing to that. If you have that vision and everybody's on the same page with that vision, and I think there's one thing in that vision that needs to be important. What we said in the beginning, that sometimes AI or a chatbot or whatever is not the solution. You need real people solving real problems. That should be in the vision as well.
Absolutely.
And then if you have that vision, it needs the strategic embedding, or it needs a place in the strategic plans, so that whenever something comes across in the boardroom, they say, oh, well, by the way, we have this vision and this is where we're going. Does it fit or does it not fit? And if it fits, we need to allocate the people, we need to allocate the budget. It should not be a discussion, because if you take it away, you will fail. And it's that long-term commitment that, besides the people and a vision, that in my opinion, allows these projects to be more successful than others that don't have that.
Yeah. And then, like, if you are, I think you just made also a very interesting point, Doran, coming back to, okay, well, like, if we talk about the AI transformation, what's gonna happen with our people, right? What's gonna happen with all the people in our company? And I think this is a point that Professor Ali Fenwick had a really great also masterclass and talk about in Edinburgh, where he talked about the fundamental and massive business value inherent in what he calls human-centric AI. Right? So we are doing AI for us to elevate us, and by really understanding again where we're going, and this is going back to the vision, we will be able to tackle this in a way that puts the human, whether it's our customer, whether it's our employee, at the center of our attention. And he ended his class as well as his talk with the very clear prediction that he said, 5 to 6 years down the road, any company who does not follow this human-centric approach, in his eyes, will be either out of customers or out of employees.
Or both.
Or both.
Well, one is the consequence of the other.
Yeah.
So you will end up without anything. Christoph, if you could give one last advice with all your knowledge and experience to let's say a boardroom, and they have nothing now, where do they start?
I think it's all about commitment. So one one example from the European markets that I do admire is CEO of Deutsche Telekom, Tim Höttges. He gave a podcast. It's like one of the big German newspapers, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. They have a podcast, and last October he gave a podcast there. He said, "I see that AI is a very crucial topic, and I make it my topic, which means I dedicate every week a dedicated time to this topic. I have a specialized leadership team which reports to me, which is only focused and dedicated to that topic. And if you look what Deutsche Telekom has done, they have, for example, a center of competence which funnels every effort. So basically, they're saying, well, like any department that has an issue that might have a solution in AI, go through the center of competence, right? And this gives a drive to this whole AI transformation that makes clear to everyone in the company, well, it's being taken care of from the very highest level. Our leadership, our top leadership, knows exactly what they're doing, and they're approaching it with a clear vision in mind. And this gives a lot of security, because the main issue around AI is actually that a lot of people do not know what is coming towards them, and this is creating this kind of this kind of big insecurity, which is just a really not a good state to be in, right? And so the most important thing, I think, for a board level is to commit to make this a priority, and then find the measures that will allow them to make clear to their company, I'm taking care of it, I'm aware of it, and these are the measures being taken to give you security that how this topic is being handled within my company. Because maybe this is a nice story to hear at the end, which I told actually at the very beginning of the summit, which was like when I was in Edinburgh, great city, super friendly people. I enjoyed, like every time I went into a restaurant, it's so nice how you're being greeted. When you ask a question like, could I have the bill, please? Like, the answer is, of course you can. Like, with a friendliness, and like, it's so great. And so like I had this small chat with a waitress at the end of a dinner on the first night, and she asked me, so why are you here in Edinburgh? I said, I'm attending a conference. She said, well, what kind of conference is that? And I said, it's a conference about AI. And she went, the dark stuff. And I was just getting into it, like with her, like, okay, why she considers it's the dark stuff. And it was, on the one hand, it was about the potential to basically modify media. She was very concerned about what might happen to the field of art. And then I talked actually to Ray, our head of innovations, the next morning at breakfast. I told him the story, and I said, well, she was really afraid. And he asked me back and said, Christoph, did she ever use any of these words like I'm afraid, I'm frightened? And I said, no, actually not. So all that she said was all about, I really have no idea what's coming. So the formulations she used were all around like insecurity. If fear, then it was fear of the unknown. And I think this is one of the greatest things about a summit like the one in Edinburgh, is to basically be this hub of knowledge exchange, that if everybody goes away and takes it as their mission to basically educate people everywhere, so that this fear of the unknown can go away, then we have really, really served a very important purpose in this world.
Well, that is a beautiful message. Let's close off with that. And Christoph, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to another recording with you, hopefully, and where we'll go in some more depth in certain topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Dora.